Wow, I bet that wasn't what you was expecting from the Ugly Quacking Duck podcast. Well, this is actually a podcast, Sci-Fi Are You Sure? We're breaking it out right at Halloween. We figured that'd be a good time to break out a Sci-Fi Are You Sure podcast. So this podcast is brought to you by Bruce and the Ugly Quacking Duck podcast. And we're here tonight to bring you some fictional stories. And what we're going to do is break this show into 3 parts. We got a part that's about another world or another dimension, thanks to an unknown scientist. We've got a part that is sci-fi news, fictional. Now, most of this stuff is fictional. Keep that in mind, please. And then, the end of the show, we're going to have some ghost stories. So that's going to be our supernatural part. Anything to do with, supernatural events. So if this works out and you guys like it, please get back with us. And we will try to do this more often. Until later on, let's get on with the show. There is an under-acknowledged scientist that will remain nameless that has made a device that he believes can see into, or not see, actually hear into other worlds or universes or dimensions. He's not sure which to call it, but he says that randomly he can tune in to these universes, dimensions, other worlds, and hear what's going on. So tonight we get the opportunity to hear that. He's going to turn it on for us. Now he has built a translator that will translate what's coming over into an English language that we can understand. So get ready, hold on to your seat, and enjoy the ride.
We are gathered here to watch the Chancellor receive the Sword of Unity. He will then be officially sworn in as leader of the new organized nations of Earth 1. Think of it, who would have known? Just a few years all the nations would have fallen and one man would have arose from nowhere to lead us all into an organized new government. Some say it was fate, some say it was planned. It is hard to say with all the diseases and natural causes that hit us all. In just 1 year, so many dead, so many without the ability to work. There wasn't even that many jobs. Power was mostly out everywhere. Some say he is a hero and will fix it all. Some say we shall see. Here he comes now.
Well, that looks like that's all we get. He's got to work on his equipment a little bit more. But maybe soon we can come back and try again. How about some news? News alert from the desk of Sci-Fi Are You Sure? What would happen if the aliens that came here were the outcasts of space, the ones that was not welcome in the rest of the universe? Never thought about it, have you? Well, here's something to think about. Apparently, China's Navy and America's Navy had ships in the Pacific, and they were having a stare-down contest, so to speak anyway. when reportedly a mile-long spacecraft come from outer space and landed on an uninhabited island just west of them. Now, this island was reportedly 1.5 miles across, so it was just perfect for this spacecraft to land. And before the surprise forces could react, there was a signal that came out, and it would come out on several frequencies and several modes of communications and several languages. And it was translated, and it just said, "Please allow us to be part of the planet's life, for we are not welcome anywhere else." Imagine the calls that went up to the country's leaders. Wouldn't you like to have been in one of the leaders' offices when they got that call? Thank you for tuning in to the Sci-Fi Are You Sure News Alert. Well, let's get into the Halloween part of this show. These stories were brought to you by write-in listeners. Hope you enjoy.
Tammy writes in to tell us about a Halloween night that she remembers quite well. Tammy says she was 11 and she and her brother, Bobby, had been out most of the evening trick-or-treating. They came home to eat dinner, washed up, and headed for bed. Now, when she was a kid, she says, she lived in an old two-story house with a large attic. Tammy and Bobby's bedrooms were across from each other. They could lay in bed at night and see each other. Now, at the end of the hallway was a large area they used as a play area. Off this area was the stairs going down to the main house. They had gone to bed, but thanks to the ongoing sugar high, neither she or her brother could not sleep. She remembers looking across the hallway and looking at her brother, smiling back at her. He was probably enjoying the thoughts of the day. She thought to herself, at that moment there was a thud above them, probably in the attic. She saw Bobby's face change and he quickly covered his head. She heard it again. Then there was a scratching noise. Then she looked over at her brother as she was grabbing her pillow and her blanket. He was doing the same thing. They met in the play area with covers and pillows. They snuggled next to the stairs. More thumps and more scratching. A few times there were even a few deep-throated growls. There wasn't much sleep to be had that night. Somehow they managed to fall asleep. Morning light peeping through the window, and the smell of Mom and Dad's coffee cooking. She elbowed Bobby and headed downstairs, amazed they had survived. With the monster in the attic, Dad said, "Good morning, kids. I got something to show you two. Go get dressed." So he did. When we came back down, Dad took us outside into the backyard. There in the backyard was a cage, and in it was a big fat raccoon, the biggest I have ever seen, the only one up close. Dad said, "I hope the rascal didn't wake you up last night. I caught him in the attic. Apparently he was getting up there for a while, so I brought home this trap." He was not happy when I found him this morning. Banging around a lot he was. Me and my brother looked at each other and said at the same time, "Nope, never heard a thing."
There is a husband who tells a story about the guest they have staying in their home. He lives with his wife and daughter in the home. They have lived there several years. Over the years, they have heard footsteps upstairs and down in the first level. He says they also have heard doors close and open, even the back door into the garage. They have heard cabinet doors close. When they get up to investigate, there's nothing. They also have had the faucet in the kitchen just turn on. One time the husband had his back to the sink talking. His wife was looking in his direction with the sink in view. There was a sound of rushing water. The wife saw the water come out of the faucet. The husband turned around to find the water running. There are also times when the wife makes their bed just to go back later to find the blanket no longer smooth, but with wrinkles. At times, there have been large hand or paw prints left in the blanket. Once, the husband tells us he set up a DVR with 2 cameras. He didn't catch much except a loaf of bread jump off the cabinet. Several have seen a figure out of the corner of their eye. Would you want to live in this house? Do you believe this family's story?
All right, that's it, folks. Thanks for tuning in and listening to our show. I hope you were pleasantly surprised and you want more of it. If you would like to leave us a comment, email us. I'll tell you how to do that. Go to our email, which is theuglyquackingduck@gmail.com. Leave us an email. If you would like to leave a comment on our webpage, it is theuglyquackingduck.wixsite.com/theuglyquackingduck. Go to the comment page and drop us a comment. Tell us what you think. If you're on one of the podcast listening programs, apps, they have the ability to rate the show, so rate the show for us. And above all, come back. If you like it enough, share it with your friends, and maybe we get more listeners. That's how it helps the podcast grow. So until next time, we appreciate you tuning in to the Ugly Quacking Duck podcast and listening to the Sci-Fi Are You Sure show. Hopefully you'll like it enough to help us to get started on doing that more often. Until next time, 73 and God bless. This is Bruce. Bye.